Good afternoon. My name is Clint and this is Yin Yoga. And like we always do, we're going to start standing up for 15 minutes. We'll check your balance if you're on the ground later. Well, okay, so come to a comfortable place on your mat. Take your feet about hip width apart. Get your second toes pointed straight ahead or the outsides of your feet. Hip width is defined as having 2 fist widths to fit in between your arches. You can be up against the wall if that works better for you. But from here, lift your spine tall. Isometrically drag your feet toward each other, firing up your leg muscles, and then take your upper inner thighs, rotate them towards the back of the room, and then tuck your tailbone under by tilting your pelvis. That will keep that nice arch in your lower spine. Lift your shoulders up towards your ears, push them back. Allow your shoulder blades to kiss and then just drift down your back. Take the crown of your head up towards the ceiling. Tuck your chin in just a little bit. And then let your muscles begin to relax. You can allow your eyes to close. And just feel earth pulling you down. Feel the bottoms of your feet as they press down into the cushioning of your mat. And on an inhale, open up your eyes. We're going to do a couple of things that we haven't done exactly this way before. But with your feet where they are, we're going to start by going into Utkatasana, or chair pose. So on an inhale, drop your seat, raise your arms up towards the ceiling, gaze up, and then tuck your tailbone under. That will lengthen your spine. Feel your calves, feel your ankles. Your heels should be on the mat. Maybe bring more weight into one leg and then the other. So you kind of sway back and forth with your breath. Just so that you feel it. Maybe come forward so you feel it on the balls of your feet. By now you're probably feeling a little bit of warmth developing. Your quads are getting a little bit warm. And then inhale, rise all the way up, arms overhead. And then hands to Samastiti. Samastiti, and then by your side. Okay, to start, lift your toes, spread them wide and place them back down onto the mat. Bring your weight into your left foot. Find a point on the floor, maybe 8 or 10 feet in front of you that's not moving. And then come up onto your right toes. And then inhale, lift that knee up so that your thigh is roughly parallel to the floor. And know that every day is different. You could have been strong yesterday, and today this is a real challenge. Feel what's going on in your lower ankle, all those little micro movements that your fascia is responding to. And then put that foot down. Walk that out. Back to Tadasana. Weight into your left leg. Lift that right foot up 1 inch. And then bring the bottom of your foot forward, but not real far. And then from here, with that leg out in front, see if you can begin to bend that left knee, coming down. Maybe your heel will eventually touch, maybe not. That's not the point. This is helping your brain develop new connections. And then inhale, rise all the way back up. Bring it to down. Back to Tadasana. Your toes, spread them and get them down. Weight into your left foot. Inhale, pick up that right knee all the way up like we did before. From here, begin to bring your ankle over your left thigh, kind of like a gentleman sitting. And from here, begin to bend that left knee. Now your hands can be together. The most important thing is that your arms keep you upright. Feel your quads. We'll be addressing quads in a yin pose later. And then release, come back up, and step that out. Back to Tadasana. Bring your weight into your left foot again. Lift that foot up, or your right foot up 1 inch. And then begin to bring that foot behind you. And your chest will naturally come forward because you need to stay balanced. And then we're coming into a curtsy pose or like an ice skater. So bring that right foot out and back behind, maybe off to the left, bending that front knee. If your hands can come together, that's fine. Like you're curtsying to Queen Elizabeth. And then inhale, rise back up. Step that out. Okay, back to Tadasana. On your next inhale, weight into that right foot. Lift the left knee up, parallel to the floor. And notice how different this side is. You may be solid as a rock on this side today. What these balance poses are doing is they're, in addition to building more connections in your brain, it's also building strength in your ankles, in your calf, and in your knee. Notice what parts of your body you feel first, beginning to strain. And then on an exhale, release. Set that foot down, walk it out. Tadasana, only 3 more times. Weight into your right foot. Inhale, lift that left foot up 1 inch. And then bring the bottom of your foot towards the wall in front of you. And then begin to bend that right knee. coming down a little or a lot. There is nothing easy about this. Just be glad you're not up on the top of the mountain doing this for a photograph. And on your inhale, come back up and then step that up. Now repeat, you can do this up against the wall if you wish. Okay, Tadasana again. Spread your toes. That will add a lot of stability, even though it adds only maybe a 1/4 inch to your base. Inhale, lift that left knee up. Bring that left ankle across the top of your right thigh. And then begin to bend that right knee. Sitting down like a gentleman. Or spastic. Notice where you feel this. Inhale, come all the way back up. And step it out. You may want to make some circles with your hips. Creating a little bit more comfort in your hip socket. The last Tadasana here. Bring your weight into your right foot. Lift the left foot up 1 inch. And then bring that leg back behind you. As you come forward, maybe bend that knee. Coming into a curtsy bow, or maybe into a speed skater posture. And then release. Put your foot down, slip that out. Do some more circles. And we don't have time to do the other balance pose I was going to do. So we'll save that for next week. I know you all want it. Because we almost got to it last week. Okay, the first pose in Yin that we're going to do is going to be a butterfly pose. And I'm going to suggest using 2 blocks, where you have 1 block across the bottoms of your shoulder blades, and then use the other block as a pillow. So the flat block goes across the mat. Most of you have done 2 blocks Shavasana. If you don't have a block, blocks, just lie down. And if you have a bolster, this is the ideal pose to use a bolster. But get that lower block supporting the bottoms of your shoulder blades. Bend your knees, bring your soles together. And then bring your arms way out wide, opening up your armpits. Your palms are up towards the ceiling. Take a deep cleansing breath in through your nose and exhale it out through your nose. Take another cleansing breath in through your nose, out through your nose, and let your breath come to its own natural rhythm, in and out through your nose. Let your elbows come down onto the floor, your forearms and the backs of your hands. Notice if your knees are bobbing up and down. If so, maybe move your feet a little bit farther forward so they can become still. Or you can put a towel underneath each one. And follow your breath here. Notice what parts of your lungs inflate first. Notice the temperature of the air as you breathe in. And then notice the temperature of the air as you breathe it back out. As you breathe in, the air gets warmed and moistened by your sinuses. And as you breathe it down the back of your throat, it gains a little bit more warmth until it's the perfect temperature for your lungs. Breathing in and out through your nose increases the pressure inside your lungs so that you can absorb more oxygen with each breath. Notice the softness coming to your legs and your arms. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next inhale, open your eyes. Use your arms to help your knees come up vertical. Maybe you can come forward and sit up. You can remove the blocks from behind you, setting them aside. Then bring your hands behind your hips, your footprints on the mat. And then windshield wiper your knees slowly, all the way from one side over to the other. Observing your hip sockets. And the next time you come to center pause, the next pose is going to need the strap. So find your strap. And I should have shown this first. There is a way to find a strap that's very efficient. And you grab it with one hand, this way, and then you loop up and over the top so that the strap wraps around the back of your hand. And in front, you can trap it with your fingers, your thumb. That way you don't have to put much pressure to make a good bind. If you don't have that wrap and you're just grabbing on, your hand's going to get tight. So Come all the way down onto your back. Draw both knees into your chest. Give yourself a squeeze. Push your hips away and rock a little bit left to right. And then holding on to your right knee, release your left foot out to the front of your mat. Push that right heel away. And then getting your strap, you want to put the middle of the strap across the ball of your foot. And then raise your sole up onto the ceiling, grabbing each end of the strap with a different hand, and then make a bind. Once your foot is up, begin to draw your hands apart. That will put a little bit more tension into the strap and more force into your leg, drawing your femur down into your pelvis. Now you can modify how this feels by drawing your arms a little bit more towards the wall beyond your head. Get this a little bit more on your hamstrings. And then carefully change your bind to just your right hand. Make your bind in a similar fashion. And with your foot up, rotate your foot out to the right, maybe 15 degrees, so that your toes are pointed in the direction that you're going to go. Bring your left hand on top of your left thigh, and then slowly lower that right leg down towards the mat, knowing that you're never going to get there. Because even if you can get there, you don't want to. You want to increase the amount of tension in the strap. So this is targeting your groins and your hamstrings. And you can rest your elbow on the mat, on the floor, or on a block. And make sure that your left hip remains on the mat. Breathe deeply. In Yin Yoga, you want to stretch into your pose, maybe 70% of your maximum. And then become still. And when you become still, your body knows that you're not going to demand to be removed to safety in a moment's notice. Your parasympathetic nervous system takes over, and your fight or flight nervous system just kind of drifts. On your next inhale, begin to bring that foot all the way back up onto the ceiling again. And then bend your knee, keeping some tension on the strap. Bring your knee in towards your chest. Release the strap, set it aside. Draw that knee down, draw it into your chest with a squeeze. And then join it with the other and rock from left to right. Or maybe you want to make some circles with your knees. Do what's right for your body. And this next pose is going to be a spinal twist with cat pulling its tail. So we're going to do this to the right side. So cross your ankles with your right ankle being closer to your glutes. Then roll all the way over onto your right side. Take your left hand and grab your right foot. And from here, begin to draw that right knee towards the front of the mat. And you begin to get a nice stretch on your quad. Your right hand can hold on to your left knee as you lower that left shoulder back and down. Now your shoulder probably won't get to the mat, that's okay. What this pose is doing, you're getting a stretch on that quad, you're getting a great stretch across your obliques, across your chest, twisting your spine all the way from your skull down to your sacrum. And once you come to that point that's right for you, just release. Just keep hold of your foot. But don't be pulling on it. You want that relaxation, that softness throughout your body so that the tension gets transferred from your muscle into your fascia that covers those muscles. That added tension will stimulate growth, giving you a little bit more space for your muscles to move. As we all age, your fascia shrinks more than any other body part. And that creates congestion inside your body. It creates stiffness. And it reduces your range of motion. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next inhale, release your bind. Come back to center. Walk your feet out towards the front of the mat. Push your heels away. Bring your hands up towards the ceiling. And then rotate your arms down with your hands towards the far wall beyond your head. And stretch from palms to heels. From fingers to toes. And then bring your hands back to your front body. Walk your feet up towards your sit bones. Give yourself a squeeze. In the next pose, we're going to start in a seated position. So again, you can just cross your ankles, maybe rock forwards and backwards, or alternatively to roll onto your right side. The next pose we're going to do is a deer or swan. It's your choice. So to get there from a seated position, bend your right knee and bring that ankle roughly parallel to the front of your mat. You can change that in a bit and come on to your right hip. Bring your left knee back behind your right ankle, or I'm sorry, behind your right heel. This would be deer pose or 90-90, or as I call it, terror. I can't do this way, so I'm just going to move that left knee back and all the way back into a conventional swan pose. Now make sure that you have no sensation in your right knee. And if you do, make an adjustment. Try to get your right foot flexed. I read recently that only 15% of the people have problems with rotating their knees when they're in this position. But this is not a knee twisting. You don't want your knees to get good at twisting, that's for sure. From here, stay upright for a bit. Maybe walk that left knee back, dropping your right hip all the way down as far as you can. And know that if the target here is your glute on the right side and your hip side, and you can reach around and feel exactly which parts are being engaged. And if you have problems relaxing, you can always tuck a block underneath that right butt cheek. And that will signal to your body immediately that it can rest because it can't go any farther. And if you're ready, and if you want to walk your hands forward, do that. You can come down onto your elbows, onto a block or onto your chest. But notice the sensation in your right knee. That right knee starts to twist and you feel it. Just bring that heel in closer to your chest. I'm sorry, to your body center line. Put a block underneath your sternum. And just let gravity take over. And these poses are not static. Your edge will change. And your edge in yin is defined as the point that you can stretch and still be able to relax those muscles. So if you become comfortable with the stretch and you don't no longer feel it, maybe that your body is telling you to go a little bit farther. Or maybe your body all of a sudden reacts and says, get me out of here. Then back up. This is your practice, your body. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next inhale, walk your hands back towards your chest. Push the floor away, lifting your chest up. Walk your hands back towards your hips. When you can release that right knee back to meet the left, go ahead. Come into table. And maybe do some cat-cows. You can make some big circles with your hips. This will surprise nobody, or you can curl your toes under, lift your hips up into downward facing dog. And walk out your dog. Stretching your hamstrings. And then your glutes. And then carefully lower your knees back down onto the mat. Coming back into table. Walk your hands forward and your knees back. Coming onto your elbows with your palms coming out in front of you. Coming into Sphinx. Now Sphinx, I remember my teacher telling me, pull my knees together, pull my thighs together, pull my ankles together. Get your legs fairly comfortable. Lift your chest high. Gaze down in between your fingers on the mat. Bring your toenails down on the mat. Press them into the mat, lifting your knees isometrically. Draw your elbows towards your hips. This is the Yang version of Sphinx. And notice these muscles that you're engaging. Those are the ones you want to release. So, to your own breath, your own body, begin to relax your feet, your knees, your thighs, glutes. If your eyes are closed, maybe you have a sensation of your chest rising. But see if you can feel which vertebrae are engaged here. Which precise vertebra is the one that has the most tension? And then on an exhale, release, cross your arms. And then bring your head down onto your forearms as a pillow. And bring one knee up towards your elbow in half frog. This quick counter just gives your spine a bit of relief. And then on your next inhale, bring your leg back, meet the other, come back up onto your elbows. Coming in towards Sphinx the second time. This time, maybe walk your feet all the way out to the edges of your mat or beyond. Again, lift your chest high, gaze down. And then push your toenails down, lifting up your knees. Drag your elbows towards your hips so that you can feel this arch in your back. Gaze down between your hands. And then again, slowly release, letting your knees come down. Find your thighs completely engaged with the mat. Your glutes soften. You can sense your belly coming into contact with more of the mat. And breathe into wherever you feel this sensation the most. And then allow your head just to drop forward. Maybe move your head a little bit left to right to make sure that you don't have any residual stress in your neck. And then on your next exhale, release. Fold your arms again. This time turn your head the opposite direction. Bring that other knee up towards that other elbow. And see if you can feel that instantaneous release to your spine. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next exhale, take that bent knee back to meet the straight leg. Bring your hands next to your chest. Push the floor away and rise up through the table. And come all the way back into child's pose. Now, child's pose, you can spread your knees wide or narrow. I like to extend my mat with the towel, but bring your knees out very wide, the big toes touch. And then with your hips sitting on your heels or close, walk your hands forward. Maybe your head can come all the way down to the mat, maybe not. If your head doesn't come down, use a block or a towel. From here, tuck your tailbone under, lengthening your spine. And you feel that a little bit more tension right at the lower part of your spine. Child's pose is a spine lengthener and a slight forward fold. Listen carefully. On your next inhale, lift your head up a couple of inches, and then begin to walk your hands off towards the right side of your mat. Just enough so that you get a nice stretch along your left side body. And then lower your head back down. And breathe into the left side. Maybe into your armpit, maybe into your side ribs. Maybe way down towards your pelvis. But use your breath to get a little bit more stretch out of the pose. Notice your hips and your inner thighs and how they're coping with this. Listen carefully. On your next inhale, come up a couple of inches and walk your hands off to the left side of the mat. Maybe this side is a little bit more flexible and you can go farther. Do what's right for you. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next inhale, come up just enough to walk your hands back to center. And from there, walk your hands back towards your knees. And coming up into the table, do a few cat cows. Your knees should be directly below your hips. Your wrist crease below your shoulders. Inhale, your belly drops, chest comes forward. Sit bones raise and separate. And then exhale, round your spine, tuck your tailbone, and your chin comes towards your chest. The next time we come to center, pause. The next pose is going to be Swan on the left side. So to get there from table, I'm going to suggest bringing your left leg up and back, stepping your footprint on the back wall, and then bringing that left knee behind your left wrist, and your left foot comes out to the right side of your mat. Walk your right foot back so that the top of your knee is on the mat. And this side may be radically different than the first. Again, the target of this is your left glute. There are 3 glutes. You can only feel 2 of them because the gluteus minimus is hidden underneath a lot of other muscle. But you can dial in where you want this pose to feel, to be felt. You can do that by moving your knee and your shin out to the left. If you want to try just to see what it is, go ahead. If you feel it more on the outside of your hip, that's the gluteus medius. Until I took teacher training, I thought it was the gluteus medius. And you think I'm joking. And if you'd like to see, maybe move that knee a little bit closer to the center of your body. And then reach behind and see where you feel it. That's more towards the center of your pelvis, the gluteus maximus. But wherever it's good for you, you can come forward and lower down, or you can stay high. But again, like the other side, you do not want to stress your knee. Try to detect when your glutes are truly relaxed. If you reach around behind, nobody can see you. And just feel those muscles. Feel that tension. And merely touching your own body gives those muscles permission to soften. And they will respond. Begin to deepen your breath. Walk your hands back towards your chest. Lift up. And just sit back on that left hip. And swing your feet around to the front of the mat. Bring your hands behind your hips. Push your heels away. And then wave your feet in circles about your heels, rotating your femurs, helping your hip sockets deal with that pose. This next pose is caterpillar, forward fold. So I'm going to again recommend using a block underneath the sit bones. You don't have to. For me, it gives me the opportunity to exploit gravity. It also helps tilt my pelvis forward, which makes this a little bit easier or a lot easier to fold forward. Have a block in front of you for different reasons. Inhale, lift the chest up high, tuck your chin in. And then on an exhale, walk your hands along the outsides of your legs, drawing your collarbones towards the front of your mat, the crown of your head towards the far wall, until you get to the point where your body says to pause. feel this strain in your back and probably also in your hamstrings, because those are the two targets of this pose. Maybe move your head a little bit left to right to make sure that your cervical spine doesn't have any tension. By pausing, you're giving your body an opportunity to get used to what you are asking it to do. Maybe you can feel your legs start to soften, maybe your back. Or maybe it's your body's just being persnickety today. If you have an urge to grab onto your legs and pull, that's a different class. That would be Hatha. That would be Maya Ashtanga. In Yin, gravity does all the work. You can relax your shoulders, but bending your elbows a little or a lot, or maybe just bringing the backs of your hands and forearms onto your shins with your palms up towards the ceiling. Listen carefully. On your next inhale, come up about halfway. Stretch your collarbones towards the front of your mat again. Maybe you can come forward a little bit more. Maybe try moaning the person behind you. She won't care. And then release, coming back down. Rounding your spine. And if you want one more added modification, maybe you can just let your feet fall forward. If you're on the block, you may feel like you're going to come off. That would be okay. It's only a 4-inch drop. And breathe into wherever the sensations are greatest. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next inhale, slowly walk your hands back. Raising up your chest. Bring your hands behind your hips. Put your footprints on the mat again. And if you've forgotten, you can bring your feet a different width than before. Experience what that might be like. And then windshield wiper your knees. And the next time you come to center, pause. Come down onto your elbows, all the way down onto your back. Your hands next to your hips. Bring your footprints up next to your sit bones. And on an inhale, tuck your tailbone under. bringing the small of your back into contact with your mat. And on an inhale, lift your hips up towards the ceiling. Draw your heels towards your shoulders. Maybe push your knees towards the front of the mat. And then exhale back down. One more time up. Inhale back up. Stay here for 2 breaths. Return to earth. Make sure you have your strap within reach. Draw your knees into your chest. Give yourself a squeeze. And rock from left to right or make more circles on the ceiling. And the next time you're at center, pause. Draw that left knee tighter into your chest and release that right foot out to the front of your mat, pushing that heel away. Grab your strap and place the center of the strap across the ball of your foot. Grab the ends with your hands and put your footprint up on the ceiling. Again, use your arms, drawing outward to increase the amount of tension coming into your hip socket. Maybe try to draw that foot towards the wall beyond your head if you're a little more flexible. But try to keep that right heel pushing away. If you can feel this in your right hip crease, that's your psoas working hard. Trying to keep that leg down. And then carefully change your bind into just your left hand. Turn your toes out. Bring your right hand to the top of your left hip, your right hip crease. And then over the course of maybe 3 or 4 breaths, lower that foot down and out to the side, reaching towards but never getting to the floor. Don't forget, you can use a block to rest your elbow on. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next inhale, slowly return that foot up onto the ceiling. And when you're ready, bend your knee, draw it in towards your chest. Release your bind. Set the strap aside. Draw both knees in. Give yourself a squeeze. And then we're going to do spinal twist with the cat pony's tail. So this time have your left ankle closer to your glutes. Cross your ankles. Maybe you can right now grab onto the top of that left foot with your right hand and then come all the way over onto your left side. On your next inhale, begin to pull that left foot back. Draw that knee down towards the front of the mat. Getting a stretch in your quads. Your right hand can stay on top of that. I'm sorry, your left hand can stay on top of your right knee. You can even stretch out that top leg. Get a little IT band stretch. Your legs will be completely confused, but that's okay. It feels good. If you need a little bit more space for your neck and head, just move your head an inch to the right. Feel this stretch across your pecs, all the way from your right shoulder down to the top of your left hip. And then relax. Just stay in that position, just stop pulling. And see how quickly your body responds. Soften your belly. Check your thighs. Are they soft and relaxed? Or your glutes? Soften your jaw. Begin to deepen your breath. On your next inhale, bring your knees back to center. Draw your knees into your chest, give yourself a squeeze. Push your hips away, lengthening your spine, and rock all the way from your left shoulder to left hip, right shoulder and right hip. Or maybe make those big circles again. Whatever your body needs here. And the next time you come to center pause, release one leg out to the front corner of the mat, push your heel away, and then release the other out to the other corner of the mat. Stretch that heel away also. Bring your palms up towards the ceiling. Your arms can be by your side, or they can be straight out in T, or any location that feels best to you. Stretch your spine tall. And then lift your head 1 inch, tuck your chin, and gently lower your head back down and release. Let your feet just fall whichever direction gravity wants. Close your eyes, take a deep cleansing breath in through your nose. And exhale it out through your nose. Another in through your nose. Out through your nose. And take rest. Begin to deepen your breath. Bring your awareness back into your space. Bring motion to your fingers and to your toes. your wrists and to your ankles. Gently roll your head from left to right. And when you're ready, walk your footprints up towards your sit bones, drawing your knees into your chest, giving yourself a squeeze. Massage your back by rolling left to right, or maybe making more circles. And then the next time you come over on towards your right side, pause there for a moment in fetal pose, using your right arm as a pillow. And scan your body to see if there's any tension or stress hiding in any of the tissues that weren't worked today, so that you can address them later in the week. Then use the strength in your left hand to push yourself up to a seated position. Thank you for sharing your practice with me this afternoon. We were out so long with COVID that it still is a joy months after we restarted. And thank you for sharing that joy with me. Take the compassion and empathy that you practice each time you step onto your mat. Take that with you everywhere you go and share it with your family, your friends, and each person you may meet. Namaste. My name is Clint, and this has been Yin Yoga. Thanks for